I'm going to show you how you can integrate Gvel into any repo, and I will take the example of a sample repo where I will show you how we can integrate the Gvel. So this repo is about the test to SQL agent. Yeah, so this is a test to SQL agent repo, and we have agents, examples, helpers over here, and let's clone it. This is a Gvel's public repo where all the core logic of Gvel lies. So you guys can check out it later. You can go through the documentation of Gvel. All the things are mentioned in the README. Meanwhile, let's go to the docs.gvel.io where the documentation of Gvel lies. And if we want to install the Gvel binary file, I'll copy this command. And since I'm using Mac OS, I'll copy the Mac related command and I will paste it in my IDE. Once I paste it, the Gvel file will be created. Yeah, the Gvel file is created. Now I will run .gvel init command. So .gvel folder will be created and some of the policies and contract files and signals.json would be created. Currently the signal.json will have a sample template. You guys can replace each of these signals with your own use case. And there will be a contract file where there is a name of contract version and the policies. And each policy, we will also have a policy folder where these two policies will lie. So quality.yaml has the quality related policies. So each policy will have a priority and the name, when, and then what will happen if each policy executes. So this is the basic structure you can follow. Once we have set up the repo and we have done Gvel init, now it's time to understand what this agent is doing and how they have written evals so that we can integrate it with Gvel. So I can see offline evals folder and there are two test suites. One is for end-to-end agent and one is for SQL generation. I can see the Langsmith client set up over here. So they are using Langsmith and there are overall 4 evaluators. So now let's go to the Langsmith dashboard. Yeah, so here we can see 2 runs, 2 executions of the experiments. One is for end-to-end agent and one is for SQL generation. And we can see there are 4 metrics over here which will act as a signals. So one is SQL correctness, other is SQL quality, the third one is correctness, and the fourth one is response quality. We will use the exact same names and the values coming from this experiment directly to the Gvel input. So this will act as the input for Gvel. Now we will go to .gvel folder where we will update the signals.json with the metrics and the values coming from the Langsmith dashboard. Now we will see how we can generate the signals. If we have the experiments over here and if I want these 4 metrics to get and act as the input to Gvel, I need to update the signals.json as previously stated. And for that I've created this generate signals.py file which is basically fetching the data from latest experiments from using Langsmith API and generating the signals. So first of all I will delete this signals.json file, existing file, because this command will create a new JSON. So I have this command and it is trying to fetch the latest data. So this all the 4 values would be fetched after command execution. So yeah, I can see this signals.json ready over here where all the metrics and values and other things are properly covered by script. So now once we have signals.json ready, we will try to update the policies and contracts based on my use case. So for this I will need just one policy. I've removed the security policy and I will delete the folder over here. And now it's time to update the policies and contracts based on the signal. Once the signals.json is ready, it's time to update the contract and policies. First of all, we will update the contract. We will have the name, version, and policy path according to our use case. You can adjust any name and version. Now coming to the policy. So we have this correctness and the correctness metrics in the signals as same. So you have to use the same name over here in the rules of each policy. So you can use threshold and then you can set the action and the reason for it. So if the rule triggers, action will be executed. And the same applies for the different rules. You can write multiple rules with different priorities. Each rule will have a unique priority. And this way you can configure the whole policy file for Gvel. We have all the contracts and policies and signals covered. We can move forward with the further steps in Gvel. So now we will execute the Gvel check command. So in the documentation, we can see the Gvel check command where I will just copy it. Since the folder and file names are same, I don't have to update the command, and then I will execute the command. Now you can see there are 4 signals over here which were passed in the policy in rules, and then I can see that the matched rule name is response quality get. So now let's check in the quality.yaml what was the action for it. So yeah, so for the response quality get, it has the 4th priority and that good rule got matched and the action is require approval. So we can see that action over here, and so the overall decision for that contract becomes require approval. So basically it means that to pass this I will need the approval. After running Geval check command, we will see what happens. So there are exit codes for each of the outcome. In our case it is require approval, and in the artifacts.geval folder will have the decision artifact after running the check command. So let's see what is created in the decision folder. So it has the whole metadata of how the things got executed and what policy results are there and what rules are matched and what is the outcome of each rule, and in our case it is just one rule, and what is the overall decision of the contract and the reason for it. And currently the approval is null because no one has approved it. So now we can go to the documentation and see how to approve the contract. Here we can see 2 commands for Geval approve and Geval reject. In our case we want to approve the contract, so I will just paste it over here. Looks good enough for beta. So yeah, once we approve the contract, approval.json will be created in .geval folder where all the details of the approval would be there, the reason approved by and all the other things, and then you can also update the decision. Now it's time to integrate the Geval into Github Actions. So let's see what we must provide in it. So we will need the contract plus policies, and we will need signals.json. So these files are already created, and in our case the PR get would be require approval because while we executed the Geval check command, the state was require approval and then we approved it using Geval approve command. So here is the sample script for it, and I've already created a GitHub action workflow for it. So let me go through it. So in this file we can see over here, not this, yeah, this one, Geval check. So in Geval check you can see I've done multiple steps: download Geval and then run the Geval check command, and then I am also approving it. So I am using directly approval.json, and this is the overall file. After setting up the GitHub workflows, I've created a PR for a change in my agent, and you can see that Geval quality gets results are automatically run, and you can see require approval and then the approved by human step. So this way you can integrate Geval with every PR.